You've, throughout the years, somehow changed your very medium over and over again to respond to available technologies and also, given problems. I'm thinking, most significantly of your work with, and Ocean Earth's work with satellite data and turning that into images and how satellite imagery is useful and, the problems of the oil industry. You really are tied to our times.
Well, about satellite work, and we have sort of our experience, but we can look at this image for the moment. I think the general problem with satellite imaging was that there's a technology there that allows you to see what's really happening in the world in real time, especially in areas of, like, say, Afghanistan or the Persian Gulf or pollution. And in this case, we're just looking at pollution plumes that arrive in Denmark on the west coast, and then explode within 24 hours. It just arrived here, began to cause an infection, and it became a huge mass of microalgae and kind of toxic mix around Denmark within 24 hours. So it says that there's something really possible for ecological catastrophe that fast. And then some other analyses would allow you to analyze that there's actually an impact there with that explosion here. It would have to come from a flow like this, coming out of that zone. Well, okay, this is you might say, scientific discussion. Well, to show this is not allowed, or wasn't allowed in the Dutch media, for example, because they say it might cause a panic. Well, actually, it's important to cause a panic. It's important to cause concern. It's important to cause awareness of the real potential dangers to us, or the actual dangers. Now, this effort of artists to work with satellite data for mass media was pioneered by a half dozen people. And here's kind of the magic, and I think this is something that we see with other events like collaborative projects. Again, various people coming together. It occurred that Taro Suzuki, now a painter, very much in retirement, so to speak, from this kind of thing, asked me to start an art Air Force with him. I was 29, he was 27, I guess, 26. And since my father was in the Air Force, I said, well, how about a Space Force? Because it's sort of the next step after Air Force. And then we talked about satellite imaging and television, and okay, and then we did some TV shows, and then somebody said, we have a slot at the kitchen for a show, and I put together a package of ideas, and it was accepted. We did a show. We got to meet all the satellite monitoring people. They liked our thinking. We had a good background with Paul Sherris and other structuralist filmmakers. The person behind the camera, myself, Wolfgang Stehler, Eve Radelaus, who had a connection with the satellite people, Joan Waltemath, who had another connection, and they both had done a show about Space Window at RISD 1977. We all came together in a very kind of spontaneous way, a very kind of group dynamic way, with no contracts, no deals, just let's get together and make something happen. And we pioneered what then appeared on television as the satellite imaging of the Falklands. Wow, we're on television. Wow, we the artists can do this. Well, part of the reason why that happens is if you can produce a satellite image with a videotape and satellite data processing, and this is all kind of neat to do in the lab, who's going to pay for that? Well, no collector, no museum, TV companies, because they actually have $10,000 to spend. Right away, I can't really go to a collector and say, please look at my satellite imaging, I don't know where. And so the news thing was not necessarily a prime target, it was just an immediately available target because you have quick cash to do the kind of art you want to make, satellite imaging. Having gotten into that business, we found ourselves to be the pioneer, and we also found, to my great disappointment, that the US government and every government in the Western world wanted us to stop. And we had to play the game of running around here and there in the world, and eventually we were really shut down. Now, what I'm just describing here a little bit is that, and I'm thinking about this, if Taro Suzuki comes to me and says, let's have an art Air Force, what could that be? But the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia, art Air Force, being necessary to the security of a free state while providing information to the public, the right of the people were the people to keep and bear arms while satellite data shall not be infringed. Well, our rights to keep and bear satellite data, to work with satellite data, to bring information to the public in a well-regulated militia manner as an organized group was infringed extremely For example, with the Falklands, and I'll say this for the camera, and Colleen and I know, the British military came at about midnight that night to the lab in Virginia, and after a knock on the door, and then basically impounded everything. Everything we had, all the data, was made no longer available to us. So this is a clear violation of our rights. In fact, is the kind of thing that happened to make the War of 1812 happen. But well, we had to sort of give in and let the British just take everything away from us. And then when I went to the Argentina government to say, well, this happened, because that's where we could find out where to attack and all that kind of stuff, and I had the FBI saying, well, you shouldn't have done that. Well, we're allegedly neutral, and I'm not telling them any secrets, really. I'm just telling them that, unfortunately, our rights have been violated. And we have now, and this is a quite current issue, I hear say, because first of all, many dramas occur from here, but we live in a world today where the news about Afghanistan, about Iraq, about pollution, about the Congo, about Nicaragua, whatever, is extremely hard to get. We can only get it from official channels. Why can't artists get it? Why can't qualified, able, visual practitioners process data and find things out? Why are we only depending on Google Earth? We live in, apparently, a free country. We live in a country with a constitution. There's a front page article in the New York Times saying that the Constitution might be just too antiquated and we might just want to forget about it. And it's even saying that, well, the whole Second Amendment is just some kind of idiosyncrasy and we should, who cares? I mean, but it results in a profound lack of respect for the notion that the people in a free state shall have access to military capacity at some level, I'm not saying everything, so that they can, as free-forming groups as we were, provide information to the public within the framework of free press, so that the public can then decide freely what to do. If the public could decide or see this kind of pattern of pollution plumes coming from here to the Danish coast, they might think twice about having, the people here in Norway and Denmark would think twice about allowing England to have nuclear reactors. That's important to the discussion about our future.